they feed leaves you basically unsatisfied. There's, and they make a bunch of deal about it, but God's able to take a little bit and satisfy and have plenty left over to feed others. That so tonight we're in Mark 9, and we are in the more Greek Roman area of the Israel. The it says let's see, they were in the Decapolis, the an area where they had the gates of hell and Pan's the temple to Pan and different temples to different idols, and they go up a mountain near there, and he, Jesus takes Peter, James, John, and Andrew. Not Andrew, sorry. Peter, James, and John. Sorry, and he says he tells his disciples, "Truly I tell you, there are some standing here who will not taste death before they have seen the kingdom of God arrive with power." Now, now that passage, there's people have a lot of trouble understanding what that means and where it comes from, and that so it's since there's so much uh, this difference in discussion, I'm going to kind of leave that there because I haven't really satisfied myself on what that opinion is. Because if you talk about the second coming, then he may mean there, somebody would take it that there's somebody there that's never died. It could mean the coming of kingdom of God arriving with power could be the resurrection. So there's a lot of what is that actual referring to, and I don't think any of the gospel writers ever connected that to any definite event. It says, after 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, and led them up on a high mountain by themselves. There he was transfigured before them. Some people say that's what what he looked like is what our glorified bodies will look like. He says his clothes became radiant white, brighter than any launder on earth could bleach them. And Elijah and Moses appeared before them. And they were talking with Jesus, these Elijah and Moses. And excuse me. It says Peter said to Jesus, "Rabbi, it's good for us to be here." And I think there's somewhere I read it said whether he didn't have the idea of what he was saying, but said, "Let us put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses." Okay, here it is. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry. He says, "Let us put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." For they were also terrified. This transfiguration and the appearing of these apocalyptic people known for apocalyptic and power. Moses and leading the people through Israel and all his, the 10 plagues God used him for, and the destruction of Pharaoh's armies. And here you have Elijah who withheld rain and called down fire. terrifying, especially for Peter. It says didn't know what he was saying when he said, "Let us put up 3 shelters." Then a cloud appeared and enveloped them, and a voice came from the cloud. "This is my beloved son. Listen to him." But this is another time that we see that God's voice is heard. Uh, so suddenly, when they looked around, they saw no one with them except Jesus. So Moses and Elijah disappeared. As they were coming down the mountain, Jesus admonished them not to tell anyone what they had seen until the Son of Man had risen from the dead. So they kept this matter to themselves, discussing what it meant to rise from the dead. So he's like, what did it mean to be made alive again? And I think by then Jesus has already resurrected some people, so this is kind of an interesting discussion. I heard somewhere that Mark took the events that Peter wrote or talked about, and he put them in his own order. So we may not be getting events and stuff in the same historical or chronological pattern as may have actually happened. We're just getting these events discussed in a manner that's getting the point across about Jesus being the Son of God. So so they're asking, trying to figure out what it means to be raised from the dead.
You left, baby.
Let's go back here. So, then they asked Jesus, why do this, after talking about what it means being raised from the dead, they asked, why do the scribes, they're the ones that have researched the law, they're the authorities, although Jesus says that they have, most of them probably have misplaced how the law works. Says, why did the scribes say Elijah must come first? He replied, Elijah does indeed come first, and he restores all things, which is interesting. Why then is it written that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected? So, but I tell you that Elijah has indeed come, and they have done to him whatever they wished, just as it is written about him. Now at some point, Jesus tells his disciples that John the Baptist has come in the spirit of Elijah. But he calls for the restoration. He does. The passage here says he restores all things. So that is something I found interesting. So Mark leaves that here for us to ponder. It says, when they returned to the other disciples, they saw a large crowd around them, and scribes arguing with them. As soon as all the people saw Jesus, they were filled with awe and ran to greet him. What are you disputing with them? He asked. So what's the big argument about? So one of the crowd replied, Teacher, I brought you my son who has a spirit that makes him mute. That means he can't talk. Whenever it seizes him, it throws him to the ground. He foams at the mouth, gnashes his teeth, becomes rigid. I asked your disciples to drive it out, but they were unable. So, we have seen that previously Jesus gave his disciples the authority to cast out unclean spirits, but for some reason they are unable to do this one. It says, and we're going to find out why. "O unbelieving generation," Jesus replied, "how long must I remain with you? How long must I put up with you? Bring the boy to me." So they brought him, and seeing Jesus, the spirit threw the boy into a convulsion. He fell to the ground and rolled around, foaming at the mouth. Jesus asked the boy's father, how long had this been with him? From childhood. So this is pretty interesting. I thought about, how we normally think about the possession by unclean spirits, and for some reason, this was able to be done while this kid was a child. So it says it often throws him into the fire, into the water, trying to kill him. But if he can do anything, have compassion on us and help us. So they're looking for Jesus for help, but they still aren't sure. They don't have this absolute faith that Jesus is going to be able to do it, but he's their last resort. If you can, Jesus, echoed Jesus. So all things are possible to him who believes. Immediately the boys believed. "Help my unbelief." When Jesus saw that a crowd had come running, he rebuked the unclean spirit. "You deaf and mute spirit," he said, "I command you to come out and never enter him again." After shrieking and convulsing him violently, the spirit came out. The boy became like a corpse, so that many said that he is dead. But Jesus took him by the hand and helped him to his feet, and he stood up. So, it's kind of an interesting situation here. We get a lot of details on this one that we don't usually get with a miracle. After Jesus had gone into the house, his disciples asked him privately, "Why couldn't we drive it out?" Now, previously we kind of it's about unbelief. But Jesus answered, "This kind of cannot come out except by prayer." So we see prayer is effective. It's not just some talking in the air. That there is actually, positive value for prayer that helps. The so we get